Okay. So hello, this is Steve Wolodkin, owner and operator of Encino AR Works. You can reach our website at encinoarworks.com. How about that? Today I'm going to give you a few tips toward my philosophy of being able to build, coat, maintain everything to do with your AR style modern sporting rifle, which of course is the most popular in America. So that's what I've been focusing on. I've been a home gunsmith for a long time, and I have some suggestions, especially for you Cerakote people out there. I do Cerakoting here at my house. I converted my garage into the shop and to the spray booth and the blast cabinets and everything I need. So one thing that we have to do is we have to prepare the parts by soaking them in acetone, for half hour, depends, how dirty they are. And this can get expensive trying to buy proper tanks that you might use in order to put these parts, to immerse them totally in acetone. Well, I try to find a cheaper way, and it's worked out fine for me thus far. And that is just using whatever bottles. Like I have these Bob's Blue Cheese, but wine bottles, especially big wine bottles, can be really helpful. And I found what I think is a foolproof technique for getting perfect results every time using really cheap components. So first cheap component, I hope you can see this. Yeah, you probably can, I think. The cheap glass cutter, or it might be called the bottle cutter. Search on Amazon.com, you'll find it. This or something just like this is all you need. So there's 28 bucks about. And the other thing that I found helpful was the glass cutting oil. About $5 again at Amazon. And being a home gunsmith for so long, talking about cutting surfaces without lubrication, it's just not what we do. We drill and tap. We always use lubrication. When we cut, we always use lubrication. So it seemed to me that lubrication was going to be a very helpful aspect, and indeed, having tried it without the lubrication first and then using the oil was, superior in every way. Okay, so what we need to pull this off is boiling water. You see I have a pot of boiling water right here, and I'm just going to get it so it just is keeping to a boil. And over here we want ice cold water. Now I was doing this earlier, and unfortunately I kind of cleaned out a lot of my ice cubes, so I put some buckets of water here in the freezer. And yeah, there's no production value here at Encino AR Works, so if you want some high production value stuff, you're going to have to go elsewhere. You're not going to find it here. Ours is at home. I want to work at home. I want to build rifles at home. And you can. And that's what I'll teach you. Okay, so we've got our cold, we've got our hot. Now, here's a big for instance. For instance, let's say you want to Cerakote this part. This is a 4-inch quad rail, okay, with a cap. It's already Cerakoted, by the way. It's H112 cobalt. As you can see, I always label everything and put it in plastic so I can identify all my parts quickly. Yes, I know that's disturbed thinking, but nevertheless. So let's pretend this isn't yet coated. So we're gonna have to soak it for half an hour. So we can buy the $400 tank that's open, by the way, and acetone evaporates very quickly. So having large containers of it, having that much surface area, you're going to encounter a lot of evaporation and spend a lot of money in acetone. Now, acetone here you can buy in all kinds of sizes and so forth. I don't do yet a ton of Cerakoting, but I started buying acetone by the 5-gallon drum because this is ridiculous. Don't buy these little bottles for $25 or whatever the price is. They're very expensive. They're not worth it. Anyways, back to the main source. So we're going to soak this puppy in acetone. So I want to use things around the house. I don't want to spend $400 on the tank. So one great bottle I found has been the Bob's Big Boy bottle. And everybody is familiar with this, I'm sure. You know, showing it to myself, showing it to you. Yeah, this guy. Unfortunately, you know, it wasn't a fit, because otherwise it just would have been beautiful. And look at that. You're going to use exactly as much acetone as you need, and you can reuse this until it's, you know, looking kind of yicky. So the problem became I need to get rid of that top in this case. So I speculated that cutting the bottle, like people do for wine bottle art and so on, is going to work. So in fact, when you cut the top off, there you go. Fill her up with acetone, soak it for an hour, and you're off to the next step. Get ready to do some blasting on your part. So that was what inspired me to get this little machine to do this in wide scale so I can collect a number of different sizes, shapes. Now the big wine bottle I had for today that I was going to show you, I messed up only because I did it prior to me learning the magic. And so right now I'm going to show you the magic way that it so far has worked every single time perfectly. Okay, so let's see if we can't do that. I'm going to start with a Bob's Big Boy, and I have taken off the label just so there's no nothing is obscured from you. You have to adjust your machine for the correct bottle length that you want to cut, and you want to cut parallel surfaces. If it's starting to angle, you don't want to cut there. You want to cut where it's parallel, where they're straight. So I can see, and this is a very important step, take some kind of marker, any kind of marker, and just make a little mark right here that you know this is where you started. Because you're going to want to know where you're in, because sometimes it's not obvious where you end. Now the next thing is our glass cutting oil. Now if you got a huge kind of thing going, perhaps you could use something like this, but for us, I think just this little guy, saturate your cotton swab, and I can see the line where it's going to cut, so I'm just going to do it by memory. Is I'm going to put the oil all around, and you don't have to put too much, that might be too much. Anyways, put some oil on it where the cutter is going to cut. Okay, there we go, all the way around where the cutter is going to cut. Thank you. That's all the oil is going to do. Is just give us some lubrication as we're cutting, scoring the glass. And I believe this is the cheaper steel variety, so I think the oil is very important. Perhaps with the carbide you may not need it as much. Okay, next trick is using your ears. You're going to apply the same amount of pressure each time you cut, and you have to stop for a moment to keep going. You try to keep it continuous, but listen and keep the same level of the crunch sound. Constant pressure, and then all the way around until you've seen your mark, and which I better at this point put back. Okay, there we go. And now I think the book said toward me, but I don't think it really matters. So I'm going to keep the constant pressure with my right hand, and the left hand's going to help rotate. Okay, here we go. I'm going to pause, but then same amount. Same amount, and I'm making sure to keep it pushed against the back plate. So we're cutting a line, oops, that is perfectly straight. Okay, I went a little beyond. That's okay, it's not the end of the world. So we've scored the glass. I didn't have to push very hard. Wasn't it's not a test of strength. Now here's where I started to finesse it a little bit. With the boiling water and the ice cold water, you're really going to shock it. So you want to just go easy, just be a little cool. Just get her in there. Now it's heating up fast. It's all getting to the same temperature, and right now I don't want to get it really hot. I just want to get it initially hot, and then I'm going to bathe it in the ice water immediately. Okay. And I didn't expect anything to happen the first time. I actually didn't want anything to happen the first time. Now the second time, and you can see I didn't even have to do anything. It just fell off with a perfect cut. And we're going to have to take some sandpaper or emery cloth, or whatever, polishing powder, whatever you like, and clean up the edges. And if you for any reason wanted to have the top, you could certainly do it. But now for me, the point was and I need to clean it because it's icky, I wanted to have bottles where I can put these parts that are just a little too big to fit through the mouth of the bottle, but once the mouth is removed, it becomes super handy for dunking my parts. Now, I suppose you could take, if you wanted to, take the Bob's cap, stick it on there, and then as you have your acetone in the glass with your part, you could do this so you're not getting as much evaporation, although it's going to evaporate. This will slow it, but I may not want to bother with that. But in any case, it's the most efficient way of immersing this part in acetone, because you're going to use the least amount of acetone in order to do it. And I'm trying to get a collection for all the different parts of the rifle that I need to or would like to Cerakote. Okay, now just to end off for the day, I wanted to give you a couple of goodbyes. And again, for you people who are Cerakoting and so forth, you're dunking parts, you're needing them to dry, you don't want to touch them. Here is a stainless steel wire basket with its very fine mesh, as you can see, probably, hopefully, and it pulls out so you can, they made it to put it in the sink for like vegetables, but for me, parts that have been dunked in acetone that need to dry or come out of the blasting chamber, this is a very useful item, and it's not going to rust up on you. It's stainless steel, and so far I believe them, because this is the second one that I have, and they've been working perfectly. What did I want to tell you next? Oh, I think over here, my sponsor to be, hopefully, Shooter's Choice Rust Prevent. Now, I've tried probably every single, final coat, rust prevent, oil up your gun type of additive and solution, spray, and nothing compares to rust prevent. You spray this on, you can leave it overnight for deeper penetration, and you buff it out, and then it makes a beautiful finish on your rifle or your handgun. And thirdly, this is going to be just a vocabulary tip for newer shooters out there. Sometimes when you're shooting on target, you'll get a cluster of shots that all come together, and that's not the greatest example, but you can kind of see that it looks like a clover leaf with 4 leaves. It's a 4-leaf clover leaf, and so that's how they're referred to commonly. If you hear guys at the range saying that their rifle is making really nice clover leaves, that's what they're referring to, that kind of pattern. Okay, so that's all I have for this time. Next time I'll come back to you with some more tips for cheap and handy ways to accomplish home rifle construction. And again, if you need help, that's what I'm here for. You just call me at Encino AR Works, 818-478-9063, EncinoARWorks.com, info@EncinoARWorks.com, any of those ways, and we can talk about whatever it is you need, from 80% receiver finishing, lowers, uppers, rebarreling. I can teach you how to do it all. Or I can build you one, whatever you like. Okay, thanks for watching. See you next time.